Hey, you! I'm talking to you about photos, about photography, about whatever. What's up? My name is Jason DeSomer of Whatever.Photo, located in Portland, Oregon. I'm a professional photographer, very passionate about what I do. Photography is my life, and I'm here to share my thoughts, stories, tips, and tricks, literally whatever, with you. Whether you're a professional, whether you're a hobbyist, or just plain old curious, here's where you get all the information that you've been dying to hear, or whatever. So let's dive in and start talking about all the things that make photography such a special craft. First thing I'd like to talk about with you is some lenses. Lenses that I use and have been using for many, many years in all types of scenarios. First one we're going to start off with is the littlest guy. This one, the 50mm 1.4 Nikon lens, the littlest lens that I bring with me pretty much everywhere I go. It's my nighttime lens, it's my low light lens, it's super tiny and super versatile. I think I got it off of Craigslist years ago. This little fella is one that, as you can tell, is super compact, and I bring it with me when I travel at low light events. The thing about the 50mm is it's a little difficult to get more than a few people in the frame unless you back way far up. Like probably, like right about here is where it starts getting okay, which is a little far away at an event because people will walk in front of you, and a lot of times people will go, when I have to step further away from them, I'll be like, okay, let me get ready for the photo. And they're like, whoa, where are you going? Or something, because I have to get so far back. Or I tell them that I have to get further back. I got it off Craigslist, and if you look right here, you can kind of see the damage on it because it came like that when I bought it. That doesn't stop me from using it at all. I don't put filters on this lens, so it's not that big of a deal. One of the reasons why I like this lens for bringing it to events that, we'll say I'm invited to a party, and it's a thing where I'm meeting people the first time and I'm trying to be social. I bring my camera with me pretty much everywhere. So if I bring it to an event, it's a good length to not have to be up too close in someone's grill. Like if you wanted to have a little bit of space while still taking photos in a dimly lit situation, this is the lens that I would recommend using. I've been using it. It's the 1.4 aperture makes it excellent for nighttime low light photography. Its distance is pretty good for even street photography. I really enjoy it for that. As you can see with these photos that I'm putting on the screen right now, you can see the variety in which I am able to implement it. I use this lens for portraiture and events and product. With the part that's broken on here, on this lens area, it doesn't really fit a lens cap. I don't have a lens cap for it, so I ended up getting these little dillies right here. I ended up getting these little guys to put them on here to cover it up, and that it basically covers the whole thing. Protects it really well, and it's so small, and with this thing, if I don't put it in another case as well for protection, I could just throw this in my pocket or backpack or little camera slot bag because it's so small that I always bring it with me. There's a few lenses at nighttime if I'm traveling, because you don't want to carry a bunch of like heavy lenses with you. You can, but you're really going to encumber yourself and regret it more than likely and go, man, I overpacked again. I'm notorious for it. I do it all the time, but I overestimate what I should bring because I'm a person that's like, better prepared than not, but I'm trying to get better at that. The 50 millimeter lens is a much more personal lens. It lets you get pretty intimate with your subjects. Gets you really up close in there. And like I said, if you want to get that extra closeness without being extra close, then this is kind of the lens that you're looking for. It's different than a zoom lens. This is a prime lens. So is the 35 millimeter lens. And if you don't know what prime lens is, that means that there's no zoom function. It's stuck at its focal length. And this is one of my favorite, bring it with me everywhere prime lenses. The 50 millimeter 1.4. The next lens in today's story time is my Nikon 35 millimeter 1.8. Boom! The 35 millimeter is a really great portrait lens that I bring with me all the time for events, especially for portraits of people. This is like my go-to lens for events where I have my external flash on my camera and am taking portraits of groups of people or individuals. Here's some examples of how I've implemented this lens throughout the years. And as you can tell, it looks great for portraits. It just out in the field, but it also looks excellent how it can handle the low light situations while having a nice bokeh or bokeh, but we're going to call it bokeh, so shut up. You can see how it really brings out the lights and everything in the background instead of it being super dark. The depth of field on this lens looks really great too. You can shoot it wide open at 1.8, but doing that too often really makes the very shallow depth of field. And when I'm shooting portraits of people at low light events with an external flash, I generally put it on f2.2 because that's like the sweet spot with it, I feel like. And you got to get people kind of parallel together. I tell them, line up together, and I'll point down and be like, on that crack right there, like this. And, I direct them because you have to direct people because they'll flounder around. What do I do with my hands? So it's good to give direction, which I give excellent direction because I'm super bossy. Just kidding. Once I switched to my D850 Nikon body, I kept using my older 35 millimeter lens, even though it was a cropped lens. It was a DX lens and not an FX lens, which a FX lens is a full frame sensor and a DX is a crop sensor lens. But you can actually use those lenses on certain bodies, like the D850 that I use other DX lenses on it that let me, they still work. There's pretty much nothing wrong with most of them, except on the edges, you'll see a lot of vignette, and that's can be problematic. You can correct it and stuff. But ultimately, I wanted to upgrade into an FX lens because full frame is way better, but you can still use it if you have the right kind of body. I like to think of photography in a sense, if I were to put it in anime terms, it's more of a Samurai Champloo, Mugen vibe.
You are the most undisciplined fighter I've ever known.
Shut your damn mouth.
And the only one I wasn't able to kill.
Go with the flow. At least that's how I do it. I'm not very rule-based, and I go with the flow and kind of roll with the punches and work well under pressure. Is probably my crippling ADHD, but maybe that helps. I don't know what's going on. So my 35 millimeter lens is my get into the action kind of lens where it's great for getting in there without missing any of the details. It's got a wide enough perspective on it to where you can use it for landscape if you wanted to, use it for portraits, nature, It's super versatile, and I highly recommend if you're looking for a first-time lens, 35 millimeter lens is with a pretty open aperture is what you should be aiming for, because you want a low light lens. Otherwise, you're going to have to rely on flash in those low light situations, and that's a whole nother can of worms. But I'll teach you all about that if you want to know. The next lens we're going to talk about is my 28 to 300 millimeter 3.5 to 5.6 zoom lens. It's pretty much the Swiss Army knife of my lenses. It's extremely versatile. This is literally the lens that I bring with me everywhere. I use it at pretty much every single event. I bring it with me on vacations, on trips. The 300 millimeter focal length is excellent. It's not too far to where it is too hard to focus and overkill. And the 28 millimeter is pretty wide. It's can fit a lot in there in the frame. The 28 to 300 also has a vibration reduction, which at 300 millimeters, when you're zoomed out that far, it helps so much. Even during kind of low light events, especially these days with the noise reduction software that's out there, I use this even in those situations. 300 millimeter zoom and the vibration reduction. There's a vibration reduction that saves about 2 stops on it. So when you're at 5.6, you're actually at a lower aperture than that because of the vibration reduction on it, which is pretty incredible. If you've never used a lens with vibration reduction, then go and try it out or something, or just don't underestimate it. I have a 150 to 600 Tamron lens, and if that thing didn't have such a good vibration reduction, it would be impossible. Because once you're zoomed out like this, fucking goddamn it. I forgot what I was saying. This is at 28 millimeters, and then whoop, that's 300 millimeters. Here's it compared to my ginormous head. Here's some examples of how I've implemented this lens. Oh, look at that. Oh, this one's nice. Oh, okay, great. I shoot portraits with this. I shoot events. I shoot sports. I shoot wildlife. I shoot nature, etc., etc., etc. All the things. I shoot whatever. Just assume I shoot whatever with this and everything. And there you go. That's just a few of my lenses. I've got many others that I'm more than happy to talk about with you. Just let me know what you're interested in. Next time, I think we're going to talk about my 150 to 600 millimeter bazooka gun. This lens is huge, especially compared to, this is the 28 to 300, and this is the 150 to 600 millimeter. Look at the size difference. Oh my lord. You think that's bad like that? Let's take the lens cap off and put it on how you're supposed to have it. And literally, look how bazooka-like this thing is. I'm mature. But this thing's heavy and large. But amazing. Nikon, if you don't sponsor me soon, I'm going to start talking up Tamron lenses. Money, please. But for reals, this lens is fantastic. Next time, when I talk about this lens, I'll tell you how difficult it was finding a review about this lens that wasn't about nature. I use this lens for all kinds of things, but it's my newest purchase of lenses. But I use it for events primarily, and it's a game changer. Next time, I'll talk all about it. So I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about my favorite go-to lenses. I've got plenty others, plenty stories, plenty other lenses, experiences, photos, etc., etc. But if you'd like to share your favorite lens or a story of how you've implemented these lenses yourself, leave a comment. Let me know. I'd love to hear. Some of the things I'll be talking about in the future are the trials and tribulations and challenges of being a professional photographer, the expectations, the time management, the crazy stories. You ever been punched in the face because somebody thought that you were taking pictures of their wife when it was your job to be at the event taking pictures of people? Tell you all about it next time. Don't you forget, Jason DeSomer of Whatever.Photo.
It's whatever photo, chaos in the frame. From Medford streets to Vegas fame. Through fights and lights, my lens defines every moment. The chaos aligns.
I'm looking for sponsors.